Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we have a video courtesy of WhistlinCorsair in the Tier 7 German tech tree battleship, the Gneisenau. And this is one of those ships that I find maybe doesn't get as much love as some others. And a big reason I think she winds up forgotten is the Scharnhorst. The Scharnhorst, in my opinion, is a more flexible ship. You give up some of that raw penetration of slightly larger guns for better rate of fire and more flexibility. I feel that rate of fire lets you deal with destroyers and cruisers better, and you can still do damage to battleships if you know what you're doing. That said, the Nessie definitely is a solid ship. The one thing I found lacking a little in it is the number of guns. You've only got 6 barrels. And with some bad RNG, it can mean even complete broadsides miss fairly close in. But mix in some good RNG and you are set to do some damage. And with the ship's great top speed, you can move about the map and really put yourself in positions to do damage. Now, she also has torpedoes, which very welcome. You get into those brawling situations, fire a set of torps off each side and wipe out a couple ships. It's always a blast. And otherwise, it's just a reasonably reliable ship. Good secondaries, not the Bubble of Doom the Bismarck one tier later gets, which also translates to adequate AA. You know, it's not on par with the Americans, but it's adequate. And in a match like this, when you're top tier, as a tier 7, you're a very happy ship. Now, perhaps in a battle where you're against a bunch of tier 9s, that's once again where I'd much rather have the Scharnhorst. You just have more shells, and you can hold yourself back further and just really rely on lighting some fires with HE. Not as much an option in this ship. So off the bat here, I like what WhistlinCorsair has done. They moved up, they got close, and now they've put themselves just south of this island, leaving themselves a couple shooting opportunities, but minimizing how much can see them. And the reason I like this, you can see, he's put himself 10 kilometers from the enemy ships, and I always say 10k is that, you know, sweet spot for battleships, and it's where I break a lot of ranges because of that. And you know, you get a cruiser inside of that 10k, particularly like this Belfast who is sitting side on. You know if your shells fly true, you're gonna do some damage. Unfortunately, so far, they haven't. 2 overpens in that entire volley for only a couple thousand damage, and now Corsair's gotta turn and get out. A lot of HE coming his way, and early on you don't want to give up too much damage to things like fires, because yes, you do have your repair parties and can repair over time, but it pulls you out of the battle just a little too quick. Gets another shot off at the Belfast, who hopefully gets to learn his lesson eventually. That one's a little bit better, just shy of 5,000, but I'd say the guns are still being a little bit trolly, not quite flying true. And you can see already Corsair's team has lost a battleship. And granted, it's only a tier 5. It's still a pretty big loss a couple minutes into a match. Decent hit on that AO, but with 2 overpens for 6,000 damage? I'll never get the damage system sometimes. You know, you get a penetrating hit for no damage. Typically overpens are like limited to a certain percentage of your shell damage, yet other times they just seem to do a ton. Good hit on the enemy Nessie. Got a good 4,000 in, and coming up on 5 minutes, we're about, 22,000 damage in, so on track if this goes the length for at least 100,000 damage game. And that assumes nothing changes. And this enemy Nessie is really just, I think, making a mistake, and I can't believe those shells just washed that deck. 100,000 damage. 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 100,0 Not one hit an enemy battleship at 10k, and I think they were a little overlaid, hard to see because I didn't get to watch them go in. But this enemy BB has pushed up all alone. He's got no supporting fire. He does have a DD somewhat behind him, but I think he charged in thinking, haha, I'm going to get up behind this island and torp everything, and really just threw himself away. And when you talk about positioning, moves like that are terrible ones. You know, a while back I was discussing how to maximize cruiser play, and a big part of it is don't go running out ahead of your team, or at least outside the supporting gun range of your team. And the same applies to these German BBs. They are that fast that you can completely run away from your team and just wind up without any support. And the enemy did. WhistlinCorsair, however, I'd say is doing a much better job. He's sticking nice and close to a couple other friendly battleships. His biggest hit of the game coming on that enemy Shiratsu for just over 8,000 damage. And I'd say things are starting to look a little better. He's got his fighter up in the air. I don't know if he's doing that to try to spot some planes or just fend off the enemy carrier. But you definitely wish you had hydroacoustic like the Bismarck right here, because you know, Shiratsus can build absolute walls of torpedoes. You know, full volley, 8 peds, pretty much instant reload, and you can see them just starting to come in there, fired straight at land. And I always question destroyers when they fire torps straight at land, and it's possible that Shiratsu is predicting that Whistlin would just continue straight through this. And there we go. Of course, I'm looking away when he gets the Citadel and wipes out that enemy Belfast finally. And you knew it was coming eventually. That Belfast has been sitting side on to pretty much all of WhistlinCorsair's team, and just wasn't paying the price for it until right there. And overall, a little worried about this match so far. 4 kills to 2 for the enemy team. And, well, things, you know, are pretty even in this area. The enemy team's doing a good job of bulking up. Seems like the Fuso, who's on a little bit lower health, is falling back, which will give them a chance to recuperate. But this Koenig is starting to push out alone. Now, there are unspotted destroyers. You hope, if you're that enemy Koenig, one of them's going to give you a smoke here sometime or another. But I wouldn't count on it. And what I would count on is that Koenig is starting to look a little alone, and I think he's realizing it. You can see him turning away. Because winding up alone on a map like this, at these tiers particularly, is just so devastating. You know, at higher tiers, a battleship alone against a couple cruisers can often just eliminate them. But I find at the lower tiers, just because of how, you know, RNG works, the aim, gun calibers and all that, quite often battleships have trouble. You know, the tier 4 and 5, well, 3s as well, battleships have trouble doing the kind of damage WhistlinCorsair just did to that Fuso. Gets another Citadel, throws on almost 20k more damage. That Fuso is a goner. And you can see him just watching. He wants to finish him off. There's torps in the water heading his way. Gets a volley off, but he's gonna have to start paying attention to this Aoba. Now, Aoba has torpedoes. They could be in the water already. Definitely something you need to be aware of if you're sailing up to one. And you can see he is continuously looking back. He's slowing up. He's got his rudder over. Unfortunately, turning straight into this Allied New York. Perhaps he's trying to install some extra bulge, torpedo bulge protection here, but not sure what they're trying to do. And now, you know, you have to be careful when you fire. And, well, New York gets sank. Corsair fires, eats one of the torpedoes, and basically does no damage to that Oba. It's 6.5 kilometers. His secondaries are doing a better job right now. And that's one of those things that I have a problem with the Nessie. The Scharnhorst because of the rate of fire, just the number of shells, you're bound to hit something. And when something's side on like that, you don't care what your gun caliber is, you're getting citadels. Hopefully he gets them there, and he does! Landing a citadel, a number of hits, and then the secondaries finishing off the few remaining hit points. We're now up to 101,000 damage, couple kills. I would be hitting that repair party because it looks about full. And it's available. That's no reason not to. You can see a friendly destroyer telling him, hey buddy, I'm gonna smoke you. And that's the play I love to see. You know, it's not hard, and it can do so much for a friendly battleship. And right now, WhistlinCorsair is kind of out here alone. It's 2 versus 1 to say. You know, 2 enemy battleships, just him. With the New York dead, he's out alone, and this smoke is going to provide him the opportunity to try to even those odds a bit. And the carrier's got his strike planes out there doing some spotting. I'm almost assuming this destroyer is going to leave the smoke. Looks like he has. We'll see if he loops around to do some spotting or not. He may just sit back there and try to do some damage. And now you've got the decision. Who do you shoot at? Bow on Colorado, bow on Koenig. And I like the choice of Colorado. It's the more dangerous ship. He picks up a Confederate with that volley, doing another 6,000 or 7,000 damage. And, well, he does have this smoke. It looks like he doesn't want to hang around in it. He gets the engines going again and starts heading out. Koenig turns side on. That is definitely a shot he'll take, and hopefully this lands hard, and that it does. 10,000 damage, picking up his high caliber and having that Koenig's health. And at this point, Buddy in the DD can pretty much work that Koenig down from that kind of health point. Just lots of fires, lots of harassing damage. It adds up quickly. And this enemy Colorado's starting to get to the danger zone, just about inside 6 kilometers. He's got a tough decision to make. Looks like he is doing the smart thing, turning away. So many times you'll see ships go, oh, BB right there, I better turn, bow in, and sail straight into a battleship with torps. So it's good to see that that enemy Colorado is at least doing the sort of smart thing, turning out. He has to know that this Akatsuki's here, because the Akatsuki and Farragut are so close together. You assume he's spotted. And looks like all those torps from the friendly destroyer missed. So right now, if I were WhistlinCorsair, I'd be kind of focusing on holding my position the best I can. There are strike planes inbound, so you can't be stationary. But you don't want to sail too far around the corner, because then you open yourself up to attack from 2 fronts again with this Colorado. Fortunately, he is looking the wrong way, just looping those shells over that edge of land. And, you know, you're already looking that way. He's side on, he's burning, finish the Colorado off. Tries to do just that, 3,000 damage. Secondaries working away, trying to finish him off. A fire ends up getting him, one that his secondaries lit. That's one of the reasons I love these German battleship secondaries. If you go with a secondary build, you can laugh your way to a lot of fires that don't require you to use HE. And, well, this is not going to go well. Very good drop by the enemy CV. He was patient, waited for Corsair to turn, got the fire. Corsair is playing it smart. He didn't put the fire out. Waits for the torpedo to hit, then he uses damage control. Also hits his repair. That's a smart move. Now the enemy carrier potentially could have waited longer. And that's what a lot of higher tiered ones will start doing. They'll send their bombers in. They'll light, you know, a pair of fires and then just stand their torpedo bombers off, forcing you to sit and watch as your health disappears to the fires. Or watch you use your damage control and then light you up with some torps. And this enemy Farragut looks to be AFK. That's really unfortunate for the enemy team, but very fortunate for WhistlinCorsair. Free damage, free target to get rid of, and there he goes. Picks up the Kraken Unleashed, 160,000 damage, and things are sort of coming even. Now, I'm just going to say this now, the enemy team already has the chance to win. There's a cruiser and a destroyer who are not spoken for. The destroyer has been spotted. He's had to have sailed close to this cap at one point. That enemy cruiser has to be somewhere close. But so often in situations where you have one team significantly further out in front of another, you get these situations where people feel they've just got to go for the kills. And that's what this enemy Shiratsu is doing. And I hate when people on my team do this. Think, oh no, I need, my WTR, my stats, they matter more. Go for the win. Get in the cap, especially DDs. A DD and a cap with no one immediately there, that's pretty much a free win. Like, for something to spot you there is such a low chance. You have your smoke, you can just disappear and win a game for your team. He's not doing that, and Corsair's guns are actually firing at him as he tries to chase this very quick BB down. And you can see Corsair, he keeps checking his shoulder just to see what the Shiratsu is doing, but he's working on that carrier. And I think that's a good idea, because the carrier presents a bigger danger than a destroyer at 10k that you know about. Now that Shiratsu probably could have gone invisible and flanked him, be a little bit more dangerous a target. But shooting his guns like he is, he's just made himself a big target. Friendly CV, drop bombs on him, drop torps on him. We'll see if any of those hit. Doesn't look like they will, but the friendly Farragut now has blood in his eyes. He knows where to go, and Corsair is free to finish this Hiryu off. And once again, just when you think you've got the kill, guns misbehave, only 1,000 damage, a single overpen, but you know this one's done. The Shiratsu's dead, the Farragut did his job, finish this Hiryu off, and you've put yourself pretty much in the win. With his 6th kill, he secures the points, and now, with 2 minutes left, when you think about 2 points every 6 seconds, even if that enemy cruiser were to sail under their cap now, there's no way pausing the points is going to be enough to prevent Corsair's team from winning. And I'm starting to wonder if that enemy cruiser's even in the game. I'm hoping we find out soon enough, and it does look like the enemy Hiryu got an automatic drop-off at Corsair here. But his AA just blasting away at those planes as they try to fly by. He's got his defensive fighter up, prevents the torpedoes from coming, and he can put the fire out here. I'm guessing he didn't notice the damage control came off. There's nothing to shoot at him. There's no reason not to put that out. And once again, that Farragut, who's played a very good game, supported Corsair when he needed the smoke, went back, defended the carrier, is doing the smart thing. He's sailing back to cap. He's not trying to get up into the enemy cap. He's going back just in case this enemy cruiser were to go in and start trying to cap. Now, there isn't enough time to cap, but it is the smart play, and it just shows sound thinking. So, One-Eyed Will, big shout out to you as well. Corsair has played an amazing game, and I'd like to say that that Farragut helped enable it with the support he provided. With 15 seconds left, this one is over. That enemy cruiser doesn't look to be moving. Maybe he unloaded. Who knows? The carrier's going for the kill. Isn't gonna get there in time. So with that, let's hop to the post-battle. And what a result. 367,000 credits, 4963 XP. Looks like almost every medal you can get. Confederate, Close Quarters Expert, Dreadnought, Kraken Unleashed, 2 Devastating Strikes, and a High Caliber. You know, the only feather in the cap on this one would have been a Solo Warrior. But too many players on Corsair's team were smart enough not to throw themselves away to put himself into that situation. And overall, 207,000 damage, just short of 208. Ton of main battery hits. His secondaries went crazy, as did his AA. And 6 kills, and that came for a great base XP, 3201. Anything over 3,000 is just an astounding game in my books, and this one was fun to watch. And it shows why the Nessie deserves a place at tier 7 for consideration of like strong battleships. And, you know, it may not be the best armored or have the best guns, but the speed allows you to put yourself in the situation to make plays to win. Thank you very much, Corsair, for sending this one in. If you guys enjoyed this, please consider subscribing or giving this one a big thumbs up. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you guys later.